Hi everybody, I wanted to come on here to make a video about Google Forms and how you can use Google Forms or make a Google Form to use within your classroom, especially focusing on a math classroom. So Google Forms are something that I've used for a while. I have used them for homeworks for the most part for the last year in my pre-algebra class. And I've also used them as classwork assignments, but you can use them basically to any worksheet, upload it, and create a Google form out of it. And it's really simple. Google's nice because it's kind of easy to use. And also the best part is it grades it for you. So you can add as many questions as you want or just a few questions. You could even use it as assessments or formative or summative. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to kind of minimize myself and then open up a window. And so what you want to do before you get started making a Google form is you want to just go ahead and go to your Google account. So I'm just going to walk you through how to get started. And hopefully you've been using your file stream. So it's really nice because you can save things into your Google file stream and they'll show up in your file stream as well as in your Google Drive account. So from in here, you could actually go to, like, let's say I wanted to go to algebra and equations. And I could actually go ahead and say, like, maybe I want to make one for in here, 1 and 2 step equations. And then you could actually make it right in there, and that way it directly saves in that folder, or you can move it later. So you just hit new and then Google form. Once you're in here, you can go ahead and create a title. So we'll call this 1 step equations. And you can write a description like, this is your homework assignment. Please make sure to answer all the questions. Okay, or something, whatever you want to put on there. And it's nice because if you type in here, you can just click in that, it'll automatically put it there. And if you click here, it'll actually let you, maybe you accidentally put it in the wrong folder and you wanted it somewhere else. You could move here, and that would actually move the document to a different part. So you can move it around once you're in there, or you can kind of click and drag, just like you would a Word document. Okay, so a couple things at the top. So you can star it, and that'll just go into a special, it's kind of like bookmarking different documents. You can change the theme, so you could actually upload a picture. Let me move my head out of the way. You could actually upload a picture here, and it would put it as a back header. You could change it, I like the blue. But you could change any of these colors or get your own, and you can always play around with it. You can change the background color to something a little bit different. And the font style, sometimes people like this, but I just like the basic. But you know, you can pick that as well. So that's at the top up here in the little art palette, right? And then let's see, the other things at the top. The preview button is really important. So once you've made the Google form, if you click on that little eye, it will take you to this window, and in this window you can actually see what the students will see or whoever you're sending it to. That's really valuable, and that's in a lot of Google Docs as well. And then the settings, and so this is a great place. Again, that's up here. It's like a little wrench. No, bolt. Yeah. Okay. So the settings, you can actually change a bunch of the things around. So you can, if you're sending, like I like to send my parents at the beginning of the year a Google form, so that way they can tell me some information about themselves and their student. Then you can uncheck this box here where it says require sign-in. There's some other options on here, limit to 1 response. So if you only want them to complete an assignment, well, this is for students, so I'm going to leave that checked. If you only want them to complete it 1 time, that they couldn't go back and do it again, you could click limit to 1 response. Other things you can change, edit after submit. So that means once they turn it in, they can go back and change it. And then see summary charts and detect responses. So kind of that's going to giving them a lot at the end. You can also have them collect their email addresses anyway. In order for them to take this, they have to be signed into their Google account because of this checkbox. But if you want to collect their email addresses for whatever reason, you can click that as well. All right, so that's under general. And the presentation, so this is how the kids are going to view it. They can look at a progress bar, which kind of shows them how much they've completed as they go. Shuffle questions, show link to submit another response, right? And you can also like write their message like, yay, you finished you're done. How about that? Once they're finished. Okay. You don't have to do any of this. The part that's important if you want it graded, so sometimes you might submit something and maybe you don't want it to be graded. You just want to gather a bunch of information. But if you want it to be graded, you click under the quizzes and make it a quiz. And then there's a bunch of settings under here that you can pick depending on what you like. The lock mode only works with Chromebooks. So that's like if you were trying to give it as an assessment. And then you can either release their grade immediately or you can make it so that it'll release it later. So if you want them to see what their grade is immediately, then you can click on it or you can change that. And then you can kind of look at what you want to pick for this. It's really similar to eCart and how that works. So you can have missed questions. Do you want them to see what questions they missed? Do you want to see what the correct answers to those questions are? And then point value. I always uncheck because I always let my students take it multiple times in pre-algebra. So I uncheck correct answers. But you could leave that checked if you wanted them to, if you only had one submission or if you wanted them to see what the right answer was right away. I also like to have students edit, and that just keeps them from submitting multiple times and completing the form multiple times. So that keeps them from doing that. So that way they can just go back and edit what they already did instead of having to redo the whole thing. Okay, so we're ready to start. Let's start with our first question, which is going to be something that will be very important that you pick first. You need to collect their names because otherwise you won't know who did what. So I always just do first name and Google Smart so it knows that you want a short answer. There's other options, let me move out of the way. There's other options for the type of question that you can have, multiple choice, checkbox, drop down, file upload, drag and drop is kind of what this linear scale is, multiple choice grid, check marks, all kinds of things. So we're just going to keep it on short answer. And I'm going to click this little button so that it makes students have to answer in order to complete the assignment. Something I like to do after that is I like to duplicate this question because then I just change it to last name. And I like to keep these separate so it's easier to sort for grading. And the duplicate, of course, just copies the whole thing. Then this little bar here has all the other things that you can do on Google Form. You can add a question, you can import a question. If you have something from a previous Google Form and you just want to pull a bunch of questions over, you can click on this little guy. You can just add text. If you don't have a question, maybe you're just trying to put a header or something. An image, a video, and then also a section. And a section is, that way they're only looking at, maybe you only want them looking at one problem at a time. So the section would be, one question and then they would click next and then it would be the next question and so on. So you have to play around with the formatting to kind of figure out what you like. I just put them all on one page, but something else I always add is class period because that's an important part. So I'm going to add a couple. And let's see, 5th, and then 6th, and then 7th. And so I just kind of scroll down, that'll add it, or you can click where it says add option. And again, I'm making that required. Okay, so these are always the first couple of questions that I offer. And again, if you go up here and click this little I, it'll actually give you a preview of what it looks like. You type it right there, and then you can click what period are you. Okay, and see it yells at them. You have to answer this question, it's required. All right, so let's go ahead and write the first question. So I like to number my questions, but you don't have to. If you shuffle them, I guess you wouldn't. So question number 1 would be maybe, this is a one-step equation, so solve for x, and let's do 7x equals 49. Whoops. Okay. So you can pick it. Google tries to guess based on the question that you wrote what you want. Let's just do a basic multiple choice, and you can add in whatever you want. So let's try to figure out some wrong answers. So 42 maybe, all right? Sometimes people think also it's 6, they divide wrong, right? That's like something, maybe they would add 56. 56. And then we'll just put the right answer. So x equals 7. Okay. So once you type the question in, and then you're going to go to answer key. And this is, you kind of have a couple things you have to do. So first, you need to change the point value to whatever you want it to be. You can make a question worth a lot of points, or most of the time I just default to 1. But the default on Google Form is 0. So if you forget to put the point value, it will not grade it correct or incorrect when you look at their final score. So, and then you can select your answer. You could also click add answer feedback if you wanted to, like if they get it wrong, say, hey, don't forget to do inverse operations. Or they got it right, if you want to say good thinking or something, but you don't have to, that's optional. And then you click done, there it looks. And again, you can make this required, like that. So there you go, that's your first question, and it's already ready to go. If you want to do another multiple choice, but you're like, I don't want to type in all that stuff, you can again hit that little duplicate button, change this, so it's all for x, maybe we say -2 plus x equals 13, right? And again, you could come up with the wrong answers and the right answers. There's the right one, so we could do another one like 11. We could do maybe they multiplied, so that'd be like -26, or divided, so that'd be -7.5. And then you would go in the answer key. You need to be careful too, because when you change your answer here, it doesn't automatically uncheck down there. And if you have a question that you want multiple select for, you need to make sure you change the question instead of multiple choice to multiple select, because if you leave it like this, and let's say these 2 answers were correct, it's going to say that the question is right whether they get this one or this one. So make sure with the multiple select you click the right one, which would be checkboxes is what they want is for them. Okay, so all right, so that's pretty good. So then that's 2 multiple choice. Let's say you want to try a different one. Maybe you want to do like a type in answer. So you would say solve for y, and then maybe you have I don't know, summertime. I'm kind of brain dead. All right, let's do maybe backwards. So let's do -7 equals -7y. Okay, so something kind of easy. So the thing about typing questions is you want to be careful, because if you are having them type it in, you need to be very clear. Google is very sensitive to the way that you type in answers. For example, the answer y equals 1 is not the same as 1. It's not the same as y, capital Y equals 1, or y space equals space 1. All of those are different answers. So I'm usually really specific about how to type in the answer when I write these kinds of questions. And eventually students get better at it, but you always get a few emails initially like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. This, seems, like I'm doing it right. So type in your answer using, type in the numerical answer only. So you want to say, type in the numerical answer only. For example, if y equals 25, type in 25. No spaces. Okay. So, again, Google's it knows what you're saying, right? It's reading what you're talking about. So it'll actually say, hey, we want to make sure that this is a number that these kids are typing in the answer. That's what this is down here. It says response validation has been added. You can turn that off, but this will show up as an error that students are not typing. It'll say you need to type a number, and if they start typing y equals 1 instead of 1. It will not get fussed at them about the spacing though, so again, be careful about that. All right, so let's go here to the answer, and we'll just put 1. And then I check this box. You can add a couple of options if you want to add y equals 1. You could do that there. And look, I almost forgot to change the points. So you can also check your points, because up at the total top, 3 questions and there's 3 points. So that's a good spot too. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3 questions. All right, good. And again, you can make it required. I'll do one last. So let's do explain, let's do a longer question. Explain how you would solve the equation -1. We'll do this. We'll just do like a easy one. All right, b minus 3 equals -4. Solving it. Maybe make sure you use good mathematical reasoning. Okay, so that way they know they can't just say, you do this. All right, so this is going to automatically default it. It knows I'm trying to get them to do something a little bit more in depth. So instead of it saying short answer, it changed it to paragraph, which is good. So from that, there would be no answer keys. So we're just going to leave it. You can add, that would be something you'd have to go in and hand check yourself, which is, fine. You'd be looking for keywords, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But that would be looking like this. Now, let's say you wanted to make an equation that was a little bit more tricky than this, right? Maybe you wanted something a little bit more exciting. There's kind of two ways you can do this. So let's say you want to put some math type. Let's like when we're looking for some fractions or something like that. So you can actually make something in Word, snag it, save it as a picture. And if you look here, you can actually upload a picture from your browser or from, wherever. So wherever you saved it, desktop, right? Usually is where I'm saving my things. Or if you find like a good equation online, you could actually paste the URL in here of the image. You could do that. What I'm going to post the link for this in the description to this video is this here, which is called Equinel, right? So it's actually like this guy right here. I think I'm saying that right. But essentially, it's kind of like a way to add math type in, and it's free for teachers. So it's a Chrome extension, and it adds math language in. So let's say I want to put an equation in that's a little bit exciting, and so I can click on this. So what you do when you want this is that you just go to the website that's again posted in the description for this video, and if you click on it, then it'll have you fill out this form. When you download the Chrome extension, just make sure you use your school email, and then after a couple of hours, it might take up to I think a day, but you get this all added to your Google Forms, so you'll see it all over the place, little this. And what you do is you go on here and you just click on equation editor, and it does stuff, but it kind of sometimes, like if you wanted like a square root, you just kind of type it in, or even like exponents, it knows, right? So it'll figure all that out. You can use the caret key, right? So like this, so just using those little shorthand keys that a lot of us know anyway. So let's say that I want to do like 3/4 x equals, we'll keep it kind of -9, right? So you would just type it in there, and then you can play around with all this stuff here. This is just typed out in like coding almost. Graphing, handwriting tools, if you want to try to draw it, it'll convert it for you. You can talk into it. There's like a lot of stuff on here. But once you're finished, you can hit insert math, and it knows to like upload it through, and there it is. And it always hides. It's really frustrating because it hides behind these dots, but if you click on preview, we can look at it, and it looks pretty good. So, and it works pretty well, so you can use it for a lot of things. So that would be there. The students do not have access to this. They can't download the Chrome extension for free. It's only free for teachers. There's like a cost aligned, I think, with the other ones. Okay. So there you go. So that's what it looks like. And you can actually use that even for multiple choice. Like it shows up. So if I wanted to instead use like a picture and it was, like a fraction or something, like if you wanted to say 11/2 there, you could add that in and then save it. So there's a lot of possibilities with that. Okay. So that I want to talk about that. Make sure I'm typing everything. Paragraph. Yep. Equinel. Okay. I'm going to put the link in there. All right, and then adding words. So something I know, and you can always turn the, something that I know that can be frustrating with working with math, especially online, is that we like to grade work. And when you're grading things online, you're not really sure where the work is. So something you can do on Google Forms, and another video I'll post how to do it in Google Classroom, is you can add a question where you say, where you can ask students to please attach the work for this assignment here. So you can actually have students take pictures of their work, right? It's not ideal, but you know, if they're at home and you want to grade stuff, take pictures. We all have computers that they can do on their phone too. And they can take a picture of their work and we can actually upload it with this assignment. So we can even say this is question number 5, if you want to keep that up. And you can change this. It's actually here called File Upload. And I'll say that students have to be signed in with Google because we don't want them from wherever. And let's see, only allow specific files. So they could upload, you know, JPEGs or, I mean, there's so many options, like a PDF copy, they could scan it in, they could do whatever. If you want them to be able to upload more than one file, like maybe they took a couple pictures, you can change this to like 10, right? And then they can upload a bunch of stuff. You might want to change the maximum file size to 100 because sometimes if the pictures are too big, that you can't, they won't upload, like the size of them are too big. And so at that point, they would upload a picture and you could put it there or scan it, and you could even put a link. They could use Jamboard or some other alternative ways to show their work. Okay, so that's it, right? So it's done. Now the way that you would give this to your kids is you could send it via link to an email. You could, again, that was up here with the little send button. You could email, that's kind of, but probably more than likely goes the link. You can just copy this and paste it in Google Classroom, or you can paste it in Blackboard, whatever kind of platform you're using. And then also you can, if you're using Google Classroom, you can just, because you have it saved in your folder, you can actually just attach it that way as well. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to actually do this Google form a couple of times just to show you the results. So just hang tight. So I did one response, but I'm just going to go ahead and type and just show you as a student view, this is what it would look like. So if you were at home completing this, this is what it would look like. So let's just say, again, if you try not to answer, it'll yell at you. This is a required question. Okay, let's just pick some random numbers here. And again, with number 3, if I type in y equals, see it's like, you must be a number. Okay, so we'll just type in that one. And again, the students don't have that insert math key. That's just because I'm still logged in as me, so they say blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then we could upload, and they can actually take a picture and save it on their desktop. Or again, if they're doing this on their phone, they can actually, I'm pretty sure there's an option where it shows them, we'll just upload a random document. Where it will show them an option where they can actually take a picture right then. And you don't have to use that, but there's like I said, there's many ways to do that. All right, let's submit it. Okay, so, and look, there's our nice message. Yeah, you're done. Okay, and then we can actually view our scores. So if I go in there, oops, it's not at me. Okay, well, I clicked too fast. So now I'm back in the teacher view, and I can actually go to responses. And this is actually going to show us, and it's live, right? Because I just did these. So this is live time. I'm able to kind of go in here and see, okay, who was it? Look at this. There's 2 of me. You could even see that with your own students if they've done it more than once. And the breakdown of each question. And so, there we go. Get rid of that. And then you can see, like, well, if they got it wrong, what are they picking, right? My favorite is when you make a mistake, but the nice thing is that if you, let's say I accidentally said that this was the correct answer, I can actually change it on my key at any time and it will go regrade all of my old assignments. And then I can look at each question, and here are the attached work. So this is the summary view, and it's nice when you first look at it, because if you're trying to get like a whole class look, that's a great place because there'll be a lot of graphics. You can say, well, let's see, a lot of people are missing question number 3, so you can actually go to question number 3 and see, well, what is everybody putting? You can look at each additional response, and you can actually click to see, well, what email corresponds to that person. Let's say that somebody did really bad. You can click through here and look at each individual copy, so that's kind of nice too. But what I always like to do when I'm going to grade these is actually create a spreadsheet. And the great thing is that this is a live document. You can turn it off. I think there's a way on here where I can make it so it stops. I think maybe in my preferences, where you can stop collecting submissions. So if you were done with this, if you don't want to collect anymore. But the nice thing is as people are submitting things, this will update live, and so will the spreadsheet. So I'm going to make a spreadsheet and create, and it will give me this data to look at. And this is what I always use when I'm putting grades in, because I can see everyone's score here. And I always like to drag the last name first. I used to type in last name then first name, but then kids would always do it backwards. So then you can go look at this way. And I can even go to those links where they posted their assignments, and I can kind of hover. And it will give me a preview of what it looks like. So that is also nice that you can see that. You can use all the same things you use in, where you can double click to see like what they're actually saying, how to explain it. And then also usually what I do is I hit the filter, create a filter, and then I can sort, right, by last name, and you can sort by period and uncheck things, so that way, and you can always play around with all that stuff, but that way you can actually see like, okay, I'm going to go just look at first period and in order from alphabetical, and then I can easily type them in the grade book, how their grades are. And I think that's pretty much it. So let me like look at my checklist, make sure I didn't forget anything. Adding work, reading results, sort and filter, perfect, multiple choice. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much. Have a great